Breaking news tonight, so-called Dirty-Diddy drops a Christmas bomb on J-Lo. Good evening, I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Jay-Z and P. Diddy's accuser comes clean, admits inconsistencies in her allegations amidst hot lawsuit drama between the celebrated rappers and musicians.
How did J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, get dragged in to Sean Combs's nightmare? In the last days, somehow, Jenny from the block finds herself in a whole heap of trouble. Is she the so-called mystery celebrity B that witnessed a rape on an underage girl? I don't believe that, but that's what's out there. Listen.
Many have speculated over the identity of celebrity B. At first, it was thought the woman could be Beyonce. She met Sean Carter sometime in 1999 and could have been out with her future husband the night of September 7th, 2000. But the speculation has now turned to Sean Combs' significant other at the time, Jennifer Lopez. Paparazzi catch the pair in a heated argument while out together late that night.
Just because there is a photo of Jennifer Lopez in an argument with then-boyfriend, I guess you could call him, Sean Combs, does not mean she knew about nefarious activity. There could have been a million reasons she was giving him a big argument, angry with his behavior, other than a felony crime. Come on, you're dating Sean Combs and you're not angry at his behavior? Why are we throwing J-Lo and his pot to stew? Okay, I need to figure out how J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, got dragged into this, as if she doesn't have enough to worry about after that brief and ill-fated marriage to Ben Affleck, Mr. Sad Sack. Why is he so miserable? He's young, healthy, some people think attractive. He's a movie star. Why is he always frowning? That said, that's a whole nother can of worms. Hermania Rodriguez joining us, chief U.S. reporter with DailyMail.com, and she's the star of a new podcast called The Trial of Diddy. Hermania, tell me how J-Lo has been dragged into this.
Well, of course, since these cases against Diddy have been filed, everyone has been looking to which celebrity could possibly be involved in this. Of course, naturally, J-Lo's name has been floated around. She was, in fact, with him during that club shooting decades ago.
Excuse me, put Hermania up. Hermania Rodriguez, I like you a lot, but I'm talking about recent history, not ancient history. The shooting where Diddy, aka Sean Combs, bragged about Jennifer Lopez's involvement, allegedly. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but can we deal with this? It's such a multi-headed hydra. Let's chop off this head first.
Well,
how
as you mentioned,
is J-Lo named as Celebrity B? I don't see it.
As you mentioned, the statement of this victim that has accused Jay-Z claimed that there was a female celebrity that watched her get assaulted. Now, like with many things in these cases, that has opened the door for all types of conspiracy theories. As of now, there's absolutely no evidence that neither Jennifer Lopez nor Beyonce were present in any type of assault. However, because the female celebrity is not named, people online have been comparing dates, as you mentioned, looking at pictures, finding if they can see Jay-Z and Beyonce together that night. They found J-Lo with Diddy. So they're just kind of filling in the blanks that prosecutors and witnesses have not filled in for us.
To Tom Juffra joining us, the lawyer for 3 of Sean Combs' accusers, managing partner at Reingold, Juffra, Raffo, Plotkin, and Hellman. Consolidate that. But that said, Tom Juffra, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Someone posting on Insta that J-Lo has been outed. I mean, let the gravity sink in. As the female mystery witness who observed a rape on a 13-year-old little girl, J-Lo has children around this age. I don't believe that for 1 minute. But here's the problem. You lay down with a dog, you wake up with a flea. She dated Sean Combs, and it has haunted her forever.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, you quoted, I laugh because my grandmother used to use that same expression, and I think it's true. You sleep with dogs, you come up with fleas. But I haven't seen any evidence that J-Lo was involved in this at all. As I said, for me, I have been contacted now by almost 70 people, and I've taken 3 cases. It's easy to make an allegation, but you need to do it in a careful way. You have to consider the thing. People shouldn't speculate. I mean, there's any number of celebrities, and I don't think it's fair, absent any proof to the contrary, to throw J-Lo into this mess.
What I'm saying, let me go to Dr. Bethany Marshall, joining us, renowned psychoanalyst out of LA, author of Deal Breaker. You can see her on Peacock now. Dr. Bethany, I find it very difficult to believe that Jennifer Lopez stood by and watched a 13-year-old girl get raped. The fact that later that night or around that time she had an argument with Sean Combs is no surprise to me. Of course she had an argument. She's dating him and he's having freak-offs. All right, I think we can all agree on that. Remember the 1,000 bottles of baby oil? Of course she's not getting along with him, but that does not make her an accomplice to a felony, much less a sex crime on a child. I just don't believe it. And don't you know she's doing backflips over all of this?
Nancy, she must just be so traumatized by this. Not only her, but her family and what's going to come out in the press and what her children, her twins are going to read. But you know, Nancy, this lie down with dogs and you get fleas, you never know what kinds of behaviors he was trying to embroil her in. He is a sex addict. He's compulsive. He draws it like a vortex. He draws everybody into his circle. I'm just going to say, because I'm a trauma therapist, when it comes to people who have been victimized and there are rich and powerful people around, you really want to think about the credibility of the victim. You want to think about what they experienced. You don't want to doubt what they are saying simply because they had rich and famous people around them. I just think that's a slippery slope. And just because Jennifer is beautiful and in shape now, we don't know who she was back then. We really don't know. We don't know how P. Diddy was influencing the people around them. Nancy, we are all human. Talk to any woman and she will tell you that in the first relationship, she probably got drawn into things that were regrettable, whether she was devalued or mistreated or cheated on or whatever.
Okay, you know what? I think that put her up, please. Dr. Bethany, I normally agree with you, but I think you're really extrapolating here. That said, she has been drawn into Sean Combs's vortex, and it seems like it doesn't end. First, they were dating. Maybe he could help her career. Next thing you know, there's the nightclub shooting, which I'm going to get into. Now this, all these years later, she's a huge success. She is clean as a whistle, pristine, and now she's getting dragged into an underage rape scenario. It's like she can't shake this guy.
Hey, you know, Nancy, talk to anybody who's been in a pathological relationship with a sociopath. I'm not saying he is, I don't know him, but anyone who has been, the trail of misery that follows throughout the lifespan after that is really incredible. So of course she's getting drawn into so many things. This will never leave her. This is like a nightmare that she cannot put behind her. On the other hand, Nancy, we cannot dismiss a victim's claims simply because there were really highly talented people around them. We're going to learn so much more about this story. I think we should all keep a very, very open mind without throwing her under the bus.
You know, Bill Daley, longtime FBI investigator, forensic photographer, international security expert. You need a lot more than innuendo that they were at the same club at the same time. That won't cut it. You know, I'm very concerned because now so-called Dirty-Diddy has dragged J-Lo into this and dropped a Christmas bomb on her.
Yeah, Nancy, exactly right. And you know me over the years is that I'm kind of like the old Joe Friday character, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And there's no facts here. People have taken pictures and kind of threaded through and kind of, you know, tried to sew away a tale by kind of drawing bits and pieces of information. There's nothing here that has any real substance to it with regard to any factual information. So, you know, at this point, I think we need to kind of take a broader look at it. But for me, I'm saying I don't see anything here that in any way puts her at that location, that specific location. Maybe afterwards, they're saying was she with him? Sure, people could be with before and after with someone before they commit a crime. Certainly, that's possible. That doesn't mean that they were there when they committed the crime. So I think that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at really just a lot of speculation.
Tom, Jeffra, it could. You're a veteran trial lawyer. If J-Lo is placed there before and after the alleged rape, and that's a big if, but if she is, she could become a material witness. That does not mean to say that she was in the room when this occurred. But if she can place Diddy, Sean Combs, at the location that the then 13-year-old describes, that is a material witness to corroborate the 13-year-old girl.
I think that's correct. I mean, I know nothing, and I wouldn't speculate just based on that filing. Even I don't know that I would rely on just an influencer to draw any conclusions one way or another. But I think as a material witness,
Wait a minute.
places
Wait, Tom, put him up. I would go out on a limb here and say J-Lo did not know a sex attack was taking place on a 13-year-old girl. I just don't see it. She has children of her own. I just don't see it. But if she was in the club that night and can describe it, and it corroborates what the 13-year-old says, she may end up being a witness.
That's
not
correct.
A party, not an accomplice, not a co-defendant, a witness placing Sean Combs at the location the 13-year-old girl describes.
That's correct. And I think that I can put myself behind and say, well, that makes her a material witness, because in any of these cases, you need to link the people with the places. I certainly don't believe, based on what you showed us a moment ago, that said J-Lo is the person who was witnessed it. I don't read it that way. I think it was just more to throw her name into the mess, if you will, because obviously she was there.
You see where this is going. To Lynn Shaw joining me, founder, executive director, Lynn's Warriors, which is an organization dedicated to ending sexploitation and sex trafficking. Lynn Shaw, this is where this is going. Sean Combs, if he has to, will try to use J-Lo to his advantage. He is dragging her down. After all these years, she started a new life. I would be willing to venture she had nothing to do with this. But you don't think Diddy would use her to his benefit if he could, to save his own skin? What would a jury believe if J-Lo says, I was there and this did not happen? I was at the club. I didn't see anything like this. He would be using her pristine reputation to help himself, using her.
First of all, I want to go back to something Dr. Bethany was discussing. We don't know. We at the Warriors are the first ones who stand up for women and girls in all of this sexual exploitation. We don't know what Jenny from the block was like in her early to mid 20s. I mean, I'm a New Yorker. She was constantly in the news with Dirty-Diddy, this club, that club, the Oscars, parading all over town. So we have to put that aside. We are losing the focus on reality here. My opinion is this case will ultimately come down to minors. That is where we can sew this whole thing up, because all of this speculation, I'm not a lawyer, without proof, without facts, without video evidence, maybe the feds have that, we can go nowhere. We've got to keep the focus on the minors. Why can't J-Lo, Nancy, be talked about? She was with Diddy. They were thick as thieves here in New York and around the country for a couple of years. And you know what? The first thing her mother said after that gun incident, screaming at her, and I have a witness who told me this in the police station, is, I told you to stay away from him. He's bad news. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. Get away from him. And then she dumped Dirty-Diddy for good. But we've got to look at what we can really hold on to, what's tangible. And we're losing this case. Look what happened with Jay-Z. That whole thing just went away the other day. That's going to go nowhere. That's a dog. As far as J-Lo, why haven't we actually heard more about her when she was the girlfriend? She had to see or hear things or know things. And that is why we have to question her extensively, in my opinion. But again, anything with minors, that's the direction to go to with all of this.
Less daylight means higher crime rates. We all know that. Stay safe, gain peace of mind with Sabre, the #1 pepper spray brand, offering safety tools to help you live confidently. Equip your daughter for college with Sabre's pepper spray and personal alarm. Your sister for nighttime exercise with an LED run pepper gel. And secure your own home with a door security bar at night. Trusted by over 5,000 police agencies and over 100 million people. Visit saberred.com/Nancy Grace. Use code Nancy to save. Welcome back. As Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Puffy, a.k.a. Puff, a.k.a. Diddy, a.k.a. Love, faces his first Christmas behind bars, has he dropped a Christmas bomb on former love, Jennifer Lopez? Well, this is where the whole thing starts. Listen.
Another shocking revelation in the scandalous Sean Diddy Combs case, now officially including Jay-Z. In a civil lawsuit, Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z stand accused of raping a 13-year-old girl at an after-party for the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The 13-year-old at the time says she had been trying to get into the VMAs by standing outside of Radio City Music Hall and walking up to limousines that were bringing guests into the venue. It works, as she is invited to an after-party by a limo driver who claims to work for Combs.
The plaintiff claims Combs approaches her with a crazed look in his eyes, telling her, "You are ready to party," the words she can't forget. She accuses Combs of throwing her toward a wall, causing her to fall. She gets up and stumbles. Combs grabs her and throws her on the bed. Then Jay-Z holds her down, and while Combs and another A-list celebrity watch.
The after-party was held at a residence in New York City. The unnamed Jane Doe is seeking unspecified damages.
Let me stress again that Jay-Z, a.k.a. Sean Carter, a.k.a. husband of Beyonce, insists he had nothing to do with this scenario and is distancing himself drastically from former friend Sean Combs. Speculation that the mystery celebrity that observed the attack was Jennifer Lopez. I don't believe it. Let me go straight back out to Hermania Rodriguez joining us, Chief Investigative U.S. Reporter with DailyMail.com and star of a new podcast, The Trial of Diddy. Has there been any response from J-Lo?
It's interesting, Nancy. J-Lo has not said a word about any of this. In fact, most of the celebrities who we have seen for decades being close to Diddy, including Jay-Z, who hadn't said anything until he himself was named in this lawsuit. The only person that I can think of whose name has floated around has been Will Smith, who has distanced himself now from Diddy. But J-Lo has not said a word about this, which of course has added to all these conspiracy theories.
Well, a part of that too, Tom Jeffra joining us, who is the lawyer for 3 of Sean Combs's accusers, managing partner as well at Reingold, Jeffra, Rofo, Plotkin, and Hellman. Tom, why would she comment? Because anything she says will only be fuel for the flame.
Yeah, I think that's right. But one thing I do want to comment is I wasn't aware of that line from this lawsuit where Diddy said he's ready to party, because he said the exact same thing to one of my clients. So to me, that fits with the pattern. The Jay-Z, the Beyonce, J-Lo, I have no piece or any view on that, is because I don't know anything about it as far, but it does seem "I'm ready to party" is one of his lines. And that caused me pause when I heard that.
Okay, you know what? Tom Jeffra, you just said something that I find extremely probative. To Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst, joining us. Dr. Bethany, I've had so many serial prosecutions, and they always did the same thing. I prosecuted. He would wear red when he would break into women's homes. It was very hot that summer in Atlanta, and women would leave their windows open. And he would very often leave a red rose behind, like they had a date. And so on and so on. Every serial has an MO, modus operandi, method of operation, that Tom Jeffrey just described. I find that more than coincidental that his alleged victim says Sean Combs used the same exact words as the then 13-year-old said.
Not only that, Nancy, but the limo driver said that she fit his type. She was made to sign an NDA. She was given a drink that made her woozy. She was slammed against the wall. Multiple people were in the room. This is P. Diddy's, if these alleged crimes are true, this is his offending patterns. And offending patterns are very rigid and very fixed. In fact, there are subtypes of that are clearly delineated in my field. And one subtype is called the power, where the is in the service of gaining power and control over the other person. And then that power and control continues in the form of stalking or releasing photos or something like that. So it would also be interesting to know if she was filmed or taped. On the other hand, Nancy, we would want to know, is this young woman like the influencer? Does she listen to the news a lot? And does she absorb, like all these web sleuths, a lot of information about the crime so she knows what to say in order to insert herself into the crime? But I'm going to err on the side of she was a victim.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice. How can Jennifer Lopez and her family have a Merry Christmas with this hanging around her neck like an albatross? Another Christmas gift, more like a bomb, from Diddy, Sean Combs, as somehow she's dragged into his vortex again, amidst online speculation that she is the mystery female celebrity who watched him, Sean Combs, attack an underage girl. Well, I say attack, the claim is it's just speculation. Nothing has been proven. Jennifer Lopez has not commented, and I, for one, don't believe it. However, other charges are pending. We know that. Other charges against Sean Combs. Will it involve the shooting incident where Combs allegedly bragged about J-Lo's involvement?
Investigators may also be taking a second look into the 1999 Club New York shooting based on allegations in Rodney Jones' lawsuit that Combs bragged about bribing witnesses and jurors at trial, sharing that he pulled the trigger that night, not Jamal Shine Barrow. Barrow served nearly 9 years in prison for opening fire and injuring 3 during an altercation with another clubgoer while out celebrating a new record deal with Combs and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez. The lawsuit alleges Combs shared that Lopez carried the gun and passed it to him during the altercation. Victim Natanya Rubin has also long insisted that Combs shot her, not Barrow.
Why would he brag about J-Lo's alleged involvement in a nightclub shooting? Let's put this thing to bed. To Tom Jeffrey joining us, who is representing 3 of Sean Combs' sex attack accusers, what's the likelihood the feds would revive that at this juncture?
I think that train has left the station. That's yesterday's news. He's been tried on it. He was acquitted of it. They can't reopen it at this point. I think that boat has definitely sailed.
Also dragged into Sean Combs' vortex and getting a Christmas bomb of his own is Jay-Z. Listen.
The day after Jay-Z is mentioned by name in a Sean Diddy Combs sexual assault case, he files a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. Birth name Sean Carter, Jay-Z asked the court to deny the plaintiff's request to proceed anonymously. The music legend, along with Diddy, is being accused of 13-year-old at a VMA after-party in 2000. Jay-Z accuses Texas-based attorney Tony Busby of running a sprawling extortion saga whose aim is base and measured in dollars. Jay-Z argues he is the victim of an extortion campaign that requires him to pay millions of dollars, irrespective of truth or else.
Hermano Rodriguez joining us, the chief U.S. investigative reporter with DailyMail.com. What can you tell me now about Jay-Z, who denies these claims strongly, and he's managed to drag Beyonce into this, Jay-Z attacking the then 13-year-old story and poking holes in it?
That's right. Jay-Z has gone full out, first in a kind of rambling letter where he was outraged that he said he'll have to explain to his 12-year-old daughter, who's old enough to read these accusations, that they're not true. He has also, his lawyer is full out pointing out all the inconsistencies that the alleged victim said, including she mentioned that her dad picked her up that night, but her dad says he doesn't remember picking her up that night. Jay-Z's lawyers have really gone full out pointing this out and insisting that he has nothing to do with it. And they say that the lawyer, Tony Busby, as he himself said, the lawyer, had reached out to Jay-Z, kind of asking for a solution outside of court to these accusations. Now, the Jay-Z's lawyer has said Tony Busby didn't say, give me X amount of money in exchange for my client's silence, but he said that the suggestion was that the allegations would go away if Jay-Z paid the alleged victim.
Okay, specifics in the then 13-year-old story are being attacked. What does a guitarist with the Good Charlotte band have to do with this? Listen.
Jay-Z's lawyer Alex Spiro has pointed out that Combs does not and has never owned a home like the one the victim described, especially not within a 20-minute drive from Radio City Music Hall. Spiro also hunted down Good Charlotte guitarist Benji Madden's whereabouts that night. While the Jane Doe claims to have spoken with Madden at the party, records show the band was on tour in the Midwest that night. Spiro also questions how a child ends up alone with the three most famous people in attendance and why a female celebrity would stand by as a child is repeatedly.
To Tom Jeffra, veteran trial lawyer, when you put a witness on the stand, if they are impeached on even a small fact, let me throw a technical legal term at you. You're screwed, because the judge will be bound under the law to give the jury a jury instruction. And it really reverberates with a jury when a judge looks them in the face and reads the law and says, this is the law by which you must judge the facts. And the law is, and I quote, if a witness is impeached in any way, the jury is entitled to throw out that witness's entire testimony. In other words, if this then 13-year-old girl is proven wrong on even a small fact, like speaking to a guitarist from Good Charlotte, a jury would be entitled to throw out her entire testimony.
That's true, but they could also be entitled to believe the rest of her testimony, because the charge you're talking about is called falsus in uno. And the charge very clearly says the fact that a witness is incorrect about one issue doesn't mean they're incorrect about other issues. And they can choose to believe the witness or not believe him. It just is any case.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it's not
of
perfect.
Of course, Tom Jeffra,
yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying. They can believe the witness or not. But
right.
If the witness has been firm that it was a guitarist from Good Charlotte, if she's firm about that in her story and that is disproved, then, believe it or not, she's in trouble and will be accused of fabricating. And there's another whole shot in the story. Listen.
The Jane Doe accusing both Sean Combs and Sean Carter of raping her when she was just 13 is also speaking out after many have pointed out inconsistencies in her account of events. The now 38-year-old acknowledges that she may have made some mistakes, but that the memories of the attack cloud the rest of the incident. She claims her now diagnosed autism prevented her from realizing the danger she put herself in that evening, and says she is choosing to speak out now because she is, quote, more afraid of the trauma eating her from the inside out than the powerful men she is accusing.
Sydney Sumner joining us now, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Sydney, it sounds like Jay-Z, and why wouldn't he, is pulling out all the stops to attack the then 13-year-old's story. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think Jay-Z is taking this fight extremely personally, and I think they're poking a lot of serious holes in her story. We want to believe every victim that comes forward, but many are saying that maybe if you shift a year this way or that way, maybe she just has the year wrong. We've seen that before in another recent lawsuit from Tony Busby, where they originally claimed that it was a 2006 white party, but when somebody pointed out that that white party was hosted in St. Tropez, not in the Hamptons, they amended that lawsuit to say it was actually 2007. So there was just a year off. And again, this is more than 20 years ago now. It is understandable to me that somebody who went through that much trauma would get some details wrong.
Newly unearthed photos reveal Diddy living it up with a raunchy crowd of partygoers alongside accuser Dawn Richards.
In that photo, you were seeing Sean Combs, aka Diddy, getting, as it's described, a so-called raunchy dance from a woman at the BET Awards after party. And beside him is now accuser Dawn Richards, this emerging in unearthed photos. Sydney Sumner, crimeonline.com investigative reporter, what is the Dawn Richards claim?
Nancy, Dawn Richard was on Diddy's show Making the Band as part of the band Danity Kane and later Diddy's Dirty Money. So she is a singer that participated on a reality show with Combs kind of acting as a mentee. And she claims that Combs once came into her dressing room and groped her while she was changing. She makes all sorts of other claims, including that he locked her in a car for hours in the cold with no heat and no way to call for help. She alleges that Diddy did not allow them to sleep for more than 48 hours at a time during rehearsals and didn't provide anyone food, water, basic needs. Outside of the show, Dawn Richard says she witnessed his violence towards Cassie Ventura on several occasions. And when she tried to speak out about the abuse, he threatened her. So Diddy has years of abuse against Dawn Richard, and she is filing that lawsuit with attorney Lisa Bloom.
In the last hours, we've become aware of a so-called celebrity scramble to get their mitts on, let me just say, surreptitious videotapes. Listen.
Daniel Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's brother, is now echoing claims that celebrities are scrambling to purchase tapes from Diddy parties depicting various sex acts and even Baldwin claims his Hollywood attorney and agent friends say there's a bidding war going on as A-listers are willing to pay through the nose to keep the videos from becoming public. Several Los Angeles PR agents comment that the celebrity response to Diddy's arrest is surprisingly quiet. They believe many in Diddy's circle are terrified they will be subpoenaed to testify against Combs and that their brands will suffer.
Lynn Shaw joining me from Lynn's Warriors, dedicated to fighting sex exploitation of victims. Yes, I find it interesting that reports are emerging. Celebrities are trying to get their hands on these videos. What does that mean to me? It means that there are witnesses. It's hard to believe the state doesn't already have these so-called celebrities that are trying to find videotapes.
You know, Nancy, we don't know yet because the trial is slated for May 2025. But supposedly, when law enforcement went in and raided these mansions, that they got video evidence, but we don't really know. So the evidence is already there. So it may come out anyway of these, celebrities, influencers around these alleged crimes. But what I have to ask you is, of course, this is the oldest thing, Playbook 101, buy off silence, right? So we know. And even if somebody is innocent, they, by association, are concerned that they may have just been at a party. These freak-offs, the freak-offs allegedly took place later at night, after 11 o'clock, we've heard. So we don't really know, but this is just an old tactic, buying off silence.
And joining me, Tom Jeffra, who is representing 3 of Sean Combs's alleged accusers. What is the crux of their claims, Tom?
Well, every single one is very similar. One, the gentleman you heard from, he worked as a gopher for Sean Combs, and Sean Combs, like a lot of celebrities, tends to be on the cheap side, and he owed him money. So he tried to get his money that he was owed. He was invited to go to the Intercontinental Hotel. When When he came there, it was Sean. He was offered a drink. He became woozy. He lost control of his body, falls asleep. And well, before he does, Sean says, "Oh, lay down, you look tired." And he wakes up to Sean Combs. And then he was hustled out of there. He was told that, nobody's going to believe you. And then he received subsequent threats. That's one. And then one was a man who met him at the Marquee nightclub here in New York, where Sean Combs has had a lot of involvement with that club. He was introduced to him by a music producer who was a friend. He was brought back to the Park Hyatt. Same kind of set of facts. He's given a drink. He's woozy. He wakes up. That's kind of the pattern I've talked about. And he's the one who Combs, before he started going in and out of consciousness, hears, "I'm ready to party." And frankly, this was filed only last week. So the young woman who used that same line, she couldn't have read this anywhere. I got it from my cases. And then the final one is it took place in the Hamptons during the summer of 2020. It was not a white party. He thought it was going to be a white party, but he just showed up. It was a party. He was given a drink, and same set of facts. I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, when you're dealing with a serial, they run to a type. They have an MO, a modus operandi, and he followed it in all three cases. So that's what I can tell you about these three cases. They're shockingly similar.
To Dr. John Delatorre now joining us, a renowned psychologist and mediator. Dr. Delatorre, thank you for being with us. So many people believe that an offender, a felon, does not change MOs. That's not true. And I believe that 18 out of the 37 alleged victims that we know of so far that have been vetted are men.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that it's not necessarily a change. The longer the offender goes, the more refined they become. Initially, it starts kind of like a shotgun where they just kind of find the things that they think they're going to like and they'll try them out. But as they continue down their offense cycle, they become much more narrow and much more refined. So in some ways, it is in fact a change because they're finding the things that actually are enjoyable to them. And a lot of times, a lot of people will say it's about power and control. But when we look at offense behaviors, the way that he's being accused of, the way Diddy is being accused of, it seems as though it's more about degradation than power and control. He wants to degrade all of these people around him to boost himself up.
I agree with Tom Jeffra, Dr. John Delatorre. When you have alleged victims that have been separated in time and space, and they say the same thing happened, I find that very, very persuasive.
Yeah, and it should be. And that's the thing, is that as it's become more refined, then he can find those victims that are going to give him the pleasure that he wants to have. And he'll do whatever it is that he has to do. In this case, it's drugging, because he doesn't want the physical confrontation. What he wants is the dominance over all of his victims. And that's going to be the consistent theme across all victims, is that level of superiority that he's placing himself above any of his victims.
The investigation is ongoing. The state is still building its case. If you know or think you know anything regarding the allegations against Sean Combs, or if you think you can prove or exonerate Jay-Z or J-Lo, please dial 1-800-200-7474 or toll free 888-373-7888. We remember an American hero, police officer Jason Shuping, Concord PD, North Carolina, just 25, shot and killed in the line of duty. Survived by wife, now widow, Haley, parents Richard and Lynn. American hero, police officer Jason Shuping. Thank you to our guests for being with us, but especially to you for being with us tonight and every night. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app, where you can get all of our content, where we, in our own way, seek justice.